What's on your mind?
Don't ever stop. Don't ever stop.
What do you think?
Oh, that's right. What do you think? Good morning, good morning, good morning. How you doing? We're now Facebook Live-ing it right here on WCRS Radio. Join us over there on 98.5 FM. Let's see, WCRS 98.5 FM, 1450 AM if you want to see what's going on. If you just want to listen, of course, you can listen on the radio. Are we live everywhere? We are live. It's Monday. I usually do a pretty good job on Monday. I don't know if anybody has noticed that, but I usually do a pretty good job on Monday. It appears that I have problems getting on to Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday sometimes, simply because I think I overtire myself. But let me tell you, we had an exciting week last week. I did repost the videos from last week on our Facebook page, and I do want you to know, which is the WCRS 98.5 FM, 1450 AM. I posted the 3 videos. All you got to do is scroll down, click on the link. It'll take you right to them. Who did we interview last week? Well, it was pretty fast week for me to keep up on everything. We interviewed Attorney General Alan Wilson. Everybody knows he's going to announce. Why doesn't he just go ahead and announce? I asked him, but I didn't get an answer, and he didn't say he was going to announce. But anyways, we had him on talking about some of the issues. Most interesting to me in that interview was his opinion about the legislators sticking that raise in the budget. So you'll have to listen to check that out. Also, David Stumbo was on he of course is our local solicitor. Great info there. Followed that up with Wednesday afternoon with 2 of our county council members, Kathy Miller and Mark Allison, came on and talked about some of their objections to what was happening on the budget, but also how a budget is made and how can we make it more better. I think you would find that one a fascinating one to listen or watch. Both these interviews were great. And of course, on Tuesday, they're supposed to finalize the budget. So, question, would this be good information to have before you sit down to listen, watch, or be at the meeting? Absolutely. So again, that's on our Facebook page, WCRS 98.5 FM, 1450 AM. And then on Thursday afternoon, I've gotten a lot of kudos for this interview. Always enjoy sitting down talking with Anthony Price, Executive Director of Pathway House, and we had a great discussion about what is trauma. We all think we know what trauma is, and trauma means different things depending on the situation, and what is Pathway House doing about the trauma that they work with day in and day out. Another great interview, and Pathway House is one of those organizations doing great work, kind of flying underneath the radar, not getting a lot of kudos or asking for anything big, although they need your support to continue their work. But doing great work and discovering every day more ways to make it more better for the clients that they serve in understanding what it's all about. So, 3 great interviews. If you have some time, listen to them. A lot of people like to put it on in the background and just listen to it, or you can watch it. Either way. Now, coming up this week, another exciting week. Tomorrow afternoon, not today, tomorrow afternoon, we will have Rosalind Burke. She is the Veterans Affairs Officer for the Veterans Center, helping with claims, talking about some of the things going on, some of the issues that they're having, but mainly talking about how they serve and upcoming events. So that's on Tuesday. Wednesday afternoon at 5 o'clock, you're going to want to tune in and watch my interview with Representative John McCravey will be in the building. We're not going to be doing this on the phone. He's actually going to come in and sit down, and we'll be talking about some of his points that he's trying to make, and I think you'll find this one another fascinating one. And then on Thursday, oh yeah, this is going to be good now, folks. We're going to have two more members of County Council with us. Theo Lane, County Manager and Chairman of County Council. Theo Lane will be in the building to discuss why they ended up with the budget they did and so much more. So another exciting week, always 5 to 6 right here on WCRS Radio. Okay, but let's get started and talk about some of the other things that are happening. I tell you what, I was mesmerized, as I'm sure many people were, about the shooting in Minnesota. How could somebody go in and shoot and kill one legislator, and a female legislator, I might add, who was part of the Democratic Party, but more importantly, I believe she was the Speaker of the House in Minnesota, and she and her husband were killed, as well as another legislator, a male, and his wife were injured, living about 10 miles apart. This, if you don't know the story, you really need to check out some on this. It's just horrific to me that this happened in our country, that he took it into his own hands, and he had a list of about 70 other legislators that were on his hit list. So just the damage that he did to that state, Minnesota, I know that it's Democratic and leans a little wonky, but no legislator should have their life on the line because they are a legislator. Of note, the female legislator who was the head of the House had just signed on. There's so many issues. I don't know what this guy's real issues were, but one of the things that she had done and had worked to make happen was that they not have illegals getting Medicare and Medicaid. And of course, this is a big issue for the Democrats, and she had voted and had worked against it. So what was this man's issue? I don't think we know. We just had a comment come in from one of our listeners here this morning. I'll go ahead and read it. It is one of my Supremo texters right here. I feel like until the judicial system makes an example of these people who are acting out with violence and murder, this will continue. This is a story that needs to stay in the headlines until these people are convicted of murder and sentenced to death. You know, I think you are exactly right on this. Do you know how fast media stories change? Now, they did, he injured the first couple. I believe this is how the story, because I think this is important, because the cops showed up at the first house and saw that they'd been shot. This guy was dressed like a police officer. He even had a vehicle that looked like a police vehicle. He then left there, had not killed them. I don't know exactly what. I don't understand, and I don't think anybody actually does. He had shot them. I guess they were able to call 911. The cops showed up. They immediately decided, oh my God, we better go to the other people that live like 10 miles down the road. This is the one with the female legislator, and they went to that house just to warn them that this type of thing could happen. That's where he was actually coming out of the house where he had killed them. He then escaped. There was a barrage of bullets. He was not injured, but he did escape into the into the woods, out in the air, outside. Anyways, they spent Saturday, all day Saturday, most of Sunday. He was captured Sunday night. The couple that survived are going to be okay. Of course, the other couple did die, and this is just horrific. But too often, it's like a 24-hour news cycle, and it's over with, isn't it? I agree with our texter here this morning. This story needs to stay in the public eye. We need for people to know. I am curious what would make somebody, not only that, a couple of things I don't understand in this story. They stopped his wife. She was driving around in town where this happened, I guess in northern Minnesota. She was driving around. She had, I guess, a wad of cash and her passport. And no, it didn't say her passport. It said a passport. Well, they didn't take her in. They simply, my feeling was they probably were going to try to tail her, watch her, and see if that led them to her. But he and his wife were not living together. He was living with two other guys in another place. So basically they were estranged. Or were they? I don't know. It's kind of a weird story. This man even had a latex mask that he was wearing. I mean, this process that this man went through was very, and I mean very, had thought of just about everything. Had another car, had his police car, had another car, but yet he was found in the woods not far from where, in a field, not far from where he was. So did he eventually just want to give up? I don't know. It would have seemed he would have gotten outside that area very quickly. Our texter just said, there are certain situations that I feel like a public hanging would be appropriate. Well, yeah, I think that would be okay. You know, Why do we have the problems that we have with our judicial system? Why do we have situations where people just think it's okay to do this? I contend partially it is because of our lack of relationship with the churches. I think it also has to do, I know people are going to say, Ann, you're nuts. We have too many people in this country. There are just too many people. You cannot put people on top of each other and expect them all to get along and be. We need space. That's what we used to have. That's one of my worries about Greenwood. Not that I will probably be around to see it, but eventually it's going to be so metropolitan, we're not going to remember all the Greenwood spaces that we used to have here in Greenwood. So as the world keeps expanding, and it's not because of reproduction of those that are here, it's because of all the people that come in. We certainly are seeing a reduction in places, and certain places are becoming much more popular. So that's a few of the things that cross my mind on that. But the very fact of the lack of moral fiber and people thinking it's okay, and is it because our judicial system has become lax? Would public hangings, 864-229-7984, make people think twice about doing something? I don't know. I know that since we've started not letting people out on bond, I think that has had an effect. I think that people got out on bond too easily, and now they are not. So that's kind of my opinion on that. Public hanging? I don't know. Where do you fall on that one? 864-229-7984. That's 864-229-7984. Would you be in favor of public hanging? Very interesting. Kind of reminds me of the Wild West, except sometimes I think we live in the Wild West, don't we? All right, other topics here. The parade was a huge success, I think, in Washington, D.C. It was a whole day of events and celebrating Our Army, 250 years. The Army was actually formed a year before our country was. That's why they are having their 250th celebration this year, because next year, of course, it is the United States of America. A lot of people commented about the cost of this parade. I watched the parade. I thought it was very well done, and I agree, seeing the joy on some of the military and seeing some of the things really made me proud to be an American that we have this. Now, for those that don't believe in military or fighting, I tell you what, when I'm in trouble, I want to know one thing, that our police officers, our fire department, our military, if needed, are out there and coming to our rescue. And so, to see the might of our military, they say it is, they say that one of the things that this military parade did, I'm getting all kinds of comments here. I'm loving this. I'll tell you in just a second. The military parade actually will become a great recruitment. And when they look at the cost that they spend for advertising, they couldn't have spent it any better. And who knows? I have no idea. How much money has the military spent? How many years have we heard military numbers are down, military numbers are down? Well, guess what? They've already gotten their recruiting numbers for this year. They are way ahead as far as what they're doing. So, from that standpoint, a benefit to the military to be able to recruit. And not only for the Army, but for all the military services that are out there. So I think that although we haven't had one of these military parades since 1991, I think it was well deserved and certainly will fare well. All right, couple of comments here coming in. Okay. One of my texters said that he would not be in favor of public hanging because they are not always humane. They could televise execution on television if they wished. Now there's an interesting idea. Should people be able to watch somebody being executed? That is the question. 864-229-7984. You can always call, but if you want to be recognized on the show, you need to text me, 864-229-7984. Another one of our texters said, if serious consequences happened immediately following the crime, instead of all the waiting, people would be less inclined to act out. You know, there is some truth to that, but then again, we in the United States of America believe that people are innocent until proven guilty. So I'm not sure how that would work. Would we just say, you did it, you're out of here? I mean, I don't know. There are, this is something that the problem is we give people, I think, too many options and too much time. And one of the things that I want to make sure that you all know, and I didn't know this, is that we the people pay for the appeals for somebody that is on death row. Did you know that? So every time an appeal, until all appeals are exhausted, we the people are paying that once a death row death sentence has been issued. So that is one of the big expenses that we the people pay. After somebody has been convicted of a death sentence, they then have all these appeals that they can go through. You may remember a couple of people, 2 or 3 people, did not want a pardon by Joe Biden for they were on death row. They didn't want that because they felt their chances of winning, of not of not having to be on death row were bigger. In fact, they felt they could get their cases overturned, which would mean they would get out, was a lot greater than having to spend the rest of their life in jail because they took the pardon. So just some interesting side notes to that. So televised executions. What would you think of that? You know, in the old days, back in the wild, wild west, I guess you could say they weren't televised, but they were observed by groups of people because they did them in the center of town. I don't know. Maybe that's something to consider. Anyways, love your opinions. 864-229-7984. The reason I love doing this show every morning, I never know. I got a list of stories here, and I never know which one is going to ignite here. But this is an interesting conversation to be sure. How long will it be that this story will drop out of the news? It's kind of like the horrific story where those... what was it, 4? I think it was 4, might have been 5 or 6, I don't remember, co-eds in, was it Wisconsin, that were killed by the guy that had a knife and went into the house that they all were living in. That case is just going through the courts, and it's going very slow. So you see a blip on it, and then you see nothing as it moves forward. So there is some basis. Speedy trial. How do we get there? Except when we had David Stumbo on, Solicitor David Stumbo, he said they were doing pretty good. They were down to about 10,000 cases in our area, and that includes... maybe Saluda, Newberry, Greenwood, Abbeville, Lawrence. I mean, it's a pretty big area. But anyways, that's the 8th district. I think it's the 8th district. Anyways, 10,000 cases. How do you sort through it? How do you get to a point of 0 moving forward, I think is the question. How can you move that many cases? And are you always going to be running 3 years behind? Because criminals don't really want their cases to go to the courts, do they? So how could we make a speedy trial come together when we have so many cases in the system? I don't know. But that's some of the questions, and our judicial system certainly needs an overhaul. So, 864-229-7984. That's 864-229-7984. If you'd like to get in on the conversation, text me and I'll get your comment right away. If you would like to call, of course you can call and leave in a message, but most of the time I'm not going to get it till we get off the air. All right, so the No More Kings protest that went on Saturday was most interesting. It was all across this nation. There was even one right here in Greenwood. Was interested to see what some of the signs were. Unbelievable. Somebody had a sign that said, 8647, that goes back to Comey. Big sign, I might add on that. A lot of discussion about whether these were local protesters or whether they had bussed some of them in. I don't know, but it was quite a large group. There were some signs out there about following the Constitution. I'm not going to name names, but there was a lawyer out there saying, follow the Constitution. We know who you are. Anyways, we are following the Constitution. That's the most interesting comment that I thought was out there. But, You are listening to WCRS right here in Greenwood. So if you are listening out there and have a comment, did you participate in the protest? I mean, they seem to be hooping and hollering. They weren't creating any problem. One thing I did think was kind of interesting, and this is just me observing things, it was over there where the tiger is, the flower festival, the big Clemson tiger. It was on that side of the road, and it extended down to almost to T.W. Boone's in that next block. So as I was saying, if you didn't see any of this, it was quite a group that were out there, but it was in front of the Clemson Tiger. I don't know, does anybody see that? It's kind of interesting. I think the other thing that was quite interesting was the fact that the Juneteenth celebration was happening across the street at the fountain, and they had quite a group there. I was pretty darn impressed with. They had food trucks, they had music, they had vendors, they had a lot of stuff going on. That was great. What was interesting, there didn't seem to be much crossing back and forth between the two, did it? The people that were on the No More Kings were on one side, and then on the other side we had the Juneteenth celebration. So that's just a little bit about our area, but there were ones all across the state. Some even were protesting. Was it yesterday? Again, they continued their protest. And some of the protests across the nation, I don't think they were out of hand, but they got close to it. And part of that was because I think our police and law departments were making sure that everything was peaceful. So that's a little bit about that. But now I want to talk about something local and great. I want to talk about the toros that have just done excellent out there in Plano, Texas. Now, they haven't gotten me the video, but they did give me updates as to how they have done. Let me get to the beginning. I got quite a bit of information here. This is because I want to talk about this because I don't think these kids are getting enough recognition. They have done great. They went all the way to Plano, Texas. The 2009-2010 girls got in and only had 3 weeks to get raise the money and be ready to go, and they did it. And kudos to the parents that are supporting. All right, so let's see. The girls are pretty exhausted. The heat is so intense in Plano, Texas. We thought it was hot here. They say it's even hotter. The 2009 girls, this is the girls, they went last year. They're back there again. Have a game this morning at 9 o'clock. I expect that's probably just kicking off. The boys and 2011 girls are done. Here are the scores. The 2006-2007 boys, this is the Lakeland's Toros teams. Boys won 3-2 against the number 1 seeded South Texas champions. The 2009-2010 girls lost 0-1 versus the North Carolina champions. The 2011-2012 girls lost 1-2 versus the Louisiana champions. Our 9-10 gals advance in today's semifinal against the Tennessee champions. They're 1 game away from advancing to the national tournament. 1 game away. I can't imagine the pressure that these gals are feeling all the way from Greenwood, South Carolina. And if they can take down the Tennessee champions, they are going to the national tournament. Good luck to our girls is an understatement. Let's see, our 2006 and 2007 boys and the 2011/12 12 girls did not advance past the group stage, but both teams have been incredibly competitive and have done themselves proud. If the 2009 girls win tomorrow morning, they go to Tampa. And that's tomorrow is actually today, because I got this information last night. And since I think they're an hour, they probably have just started their game. Let's say a little prayer for our 2011, 2012 gals, see if they can beat the Tennessee champions. If they do, we could have. I mean, this is going to be a hard-fought battle, you know it, but they're going to be ready for the challenge to win from South Carolina and go to Tampa in just, I think it's 2 weeks. So we do have plans. The gals are going to come on. We may get a video tonight that we'll be able to share. I also want to say that Emma Bass was featured on the U.S. Youth Soccer's Facebook page. That's the United States Youth Soccer page, making a shot. So excellent. Our gals look great. They've got these they're wearing pink outfits. They look great. Pink shoes. So what a team effort. What a situation that I know all of us are so proud that they have done so well. The two teams were brand new. The two teams had not been before. I guess the boys team and the 11-12 team, they had not been before. So the very fact that they made it and are having a good time is most impressive. So thanks, Jonathan Bass, for keeping us updated as to what is happening in Texas. So I understand they had a lot of fun activities planned. So that's great. What an experience for the kids and the parents to be out there in Plano, Texas. All right. What else have we got here this morning? Do want to remind you, veterans are free at the American Legion baseball game tonight. Let's see. Do I have who they're playing? Do I remember who they're playing? I don't know. But that is a local. They will be playing right there, and it is free for veterans. I can go right back here. Monday, June 16th at 7 p.m., Veterans Appreciation Night. All veterans get in free. Greenwood Post 20 versus the Golden Strip 271. So make sure that if you'd like to go, you can go for free for veterans. That is a Veterans Appreciation Day. That is that's a $7 advantage for our veterans. Now, others will have to pay. Students 12 to 17, $5. Students 6 to 11, $1. Under 5 are free. And don't forget, they have hot dogs, barbecue sandwiches, popcorn, pickles, candy, soft drinks, sweet tea, and lots of other items. And they say, we like to say, we have the Augusta Masters concessions at Legion Baseball. And they are very economical. So anyways, that is terrific. All right, don't forget, coming up at 5:30 today, you can watch it right on the stream through your Facebook page, but City Council has their meeting tomorrow, tonight. Tomorrow it is who is it, Ann? County Council has their meeting. You can watch that on YouTube. And they will be finalizing the budget along with a lot of other things. So if you'd like to speak at the meeting for or against the budget, it will be, I think, I could be wrong, I'm not sure, but you would have to sign up in advance to be able to do that. All right, we've talked about the soccer team. Yay, Toro Soccers. And, I got to say this. The Toro soccer team has succeeded against a field that is just not up to snuff, And I am so glad that the city, that they are finally getting some upgrades to their Toros field. I have heard from various people how kind of embarrassing it is to have teams come from out of town to play our guys and gals over there at the Toros field. The bathrooms have been quite nasty. They've had sinkholes in the field over there. They have been rather surprised. So I am glad that the Toros teams, the field over there in uptown Greenwood, which brings in lots of dollars, I might add, in tourism, is getting some upgrades that are well deserved. And after these wins of going to Plano, Texas, I think that is so great. And another note, I want to say I drove out there to the Civic Center, the old Civic Center, now called the Greenwood Recreation Center, and was impressed how much activity is going on. I think it was Saturday, and they had some all-star baseball going on, kids baseball, and that was pretty impressive. Lots of teams and lots of people. You saw a lot of comings and goings as people were playing different times. Certainly does look like our the field over there is getting a lot of use. So, and of course the farmers market goes on Wednesday and Saturdays, but this was on Saturday. Of course, it was after they had closed because we were on the air, but still lots of activity, people playing and enjoying their day. So kudos to those. All right, what else do we have? I have a lot more I could talk about, and I just want to see if I can touch on this one right here. I think one of the things, and this is affecting Greenwood, is the Office of Resiliency is doing a lot to help those who still haven't recovered from Hurricane Helene. We'll talk more about that tomorrow, but let's just say there is a lot of good things happening on that end right here in South Carolina and Greenwood. And Greenwood was one of the places that Greenwood County is one of the places that was hit really bad, and they were here last Thursday. We'll talk more about that one, but there is hope that is coming our way. Let's see. Where is my article? I always hate this when this happens. Here we go. All right. South Carolina lawmakers hire an attorney to defend their proposed pay raises in court. This is amazing. You know who's having to pay for that? We the people. We the people have to pay for it. Adding insult to injury, the Palmetto State taxpayers' so-called Republican leaders in the South Carolina General Assembly are spending public money on private lawyers to defend the constitutionality dubious pay raises they approved for themselves last month. On Tuesday last week, June 10th, South Carolina Senate President Thomas Alexander and South Carolina House Speaker Merle Smith filed motions to intervene in a case brought earlier this week against the state by Senator Wes Clymer and retiree Carol Herring. Clymer and Herring, who are represented by former Senator and veteran Palmetto State Attorney Dick Harpootlian, want the South Carolina Supreme Court to prevent the state's treasurer's office from dispersing money tied to the controversial pay raise lawmakers tucked away for themselves in the $41 billion state budget that takes effect July 1st. Neither Alexander nor Smith was named in Clymer's motion, which asked the court to determine whether the pay raises were constitutional. By inserting themselves into the debate, these two legislative leaders are putting taxpayers on the hook for their legal defense. This just adds more insanity to what we're doing here, folks. Alexander's motion to intervene listed attorneys Sarah S. Parrish and Tracy C. Green of the Burr and Furman law firm as his legal counsel, in addition to a trio of full-time South Carolina Senate attorneys, and one of those attorneys just happens to be Senator Billy Garrett. Smith's motion to intervene, that's in the House, listed attorneys Mark C. Moore and Andrew A. Mathis of the Maynard Nexon firm as his legal counsel on this matter. None of these lawyers come cheap, which raises an important question. How much taxpayer money are Republican lawmakers going to wind up spending in defense of their ill-conceived decision to gift themselves millions of taxpayer dollars in the first place? See, this just makes me mad all over again. So this is what is happening. I know if you listen on a regular basis, if you're engaged, that I am still angry after all this time. This happened back in first part of June. I'm still upset about it. I'm keeping this story alive in the news right here on WCRS, that they are going to get an additional $25,500 between now and next November unless they opted to send the money back. All told, the raises would cost taxpayers $4.3 million between now and the end of the 25-26 legislative session. The thing that's wrong about this is that this thing starts the 1st of July. In just a couple of weeks, they're going to get an additional $1,500 a month. Now, 37 legislators have opted out, meaning they don't want the money. Okay, that's fine. But is it right that they snuck it in the budget, and the optics, I can't help it, I'm going off on this, the optics of this are so bad. They find an extra $1 billion of money coming in through the tax collections. So while they're having this budget consolidation, going through the budget and checking it both ways, they go, oh, we got $1 million. Well, let's go ahead and pull that Senate thing and pull it right in here, which the Senate had voted on it, the House had not. And they added that to what the budget was. Do you think that's right? 864-229-7984. Do you think it's right that they should be hiring lawyers to defend themselves? I don't. I'm sorry. That's why I'm wearing my shirt, freedom of the press. Okay. But do you think it's right that they've hired lawyers that we have to pay for to defend themselves in this? No, it's not right. We're going to have a serious discussion about all these legislators that did this, that were for getting this. Now, a couple of them, or I know one for sure, decided he would, quote, take the money, but he would give it to charity. That's still not right. Because we're not making the decision. He's taking the money and then deciding. The other issue to this that is kind of being discussed quietly behind closed doors is that this money that they are getting will go towards their pension, which becomes a huge bonus to those, particularly those that have been in office for a while. It really adds to their pension futuristically. So this is wrong on so many levels. And I certainly hope that the Supreme Court of the great state of South Carolina guillotines it, says it's not going to happen. Nothing would make my day better. Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that could make my day better. But from this issue, I think it is right. I think it should not, if they had wanted to vote it, it should not have taken effect until the next term of the new legislators coming in, because I think legislators should have to stand in front of the voters and say, yes, we need this raise. Now, they could have very good reasons for doing it, but the way it was slid into the budget is wrong, wrong, wrong. I think it'll be an interesting conversation Wednesday afternoon with John McCravey. He has already signed saying he will not take the raise. They had to sign a piece of paper by the 9th, so that was last week, and he's already signed it saying he will not accept the money. So that's a topic that is ongoing. Maybe they do deserve more money, but there was a lot better way to do it. Politicians shouldn't be able to vote themselves more money and see it show up in their bank accounts immediately. That's unconstitutional. The people should decide who gets a raise at the ballot box. That was said by Wes Clymer. He is one of the people that hired Harpootlian to be the attorney for them going up against our state Supreme Court. So this is just another story here, and I'm keeping that one alive in case you're interested. On the dam, real quick, they are going to have an update at County Council tomorrow evening. I can tell you this by what's been posted on Facebook. They are moving very quickly to, they're way ahead of schedule. I think that's the big news. They are way ahead of schedule. So I hope we'll hear a lot more about it. Don't know if you heard about this story, just real quick. The I-20 bridge in Aiken collapsed so this was just horrific. And that has been cleaned up so that traffic can go on I-20, but the bridge is out, and we'll have more information on that, but that caused quite a problem on our on I-20. So that was huge. Other things coming up that I wanted to share with you. Over in, this is just an aside, and I have never been to this. I would love to go. Over there, 75,000 sunflowers at Denver Downs Farm for the 2025 Carolina Sunflower Festival. That goes on through, I think, this weekend or through the 25th. That sounds like a lot of fun to see all those sunflowers. I think that would be huge. So that's that. And I did want to mention this because I know what's going to happen. I'm going to get away from it, and I'm not going to be able to mention it. Two things. Cambridge Academy is having a cursive handwriting camp at Cambridge Academy this summer. How about that? They are going to be doing that, let's see, it is July 7th through 11th from 10 to 12. Get ready to loop, swirl, and shine this summer. Our cursive handwriting camp is the perfect place for kids to unlock the magic of beautiful penmanship while having fun. They're going to learn how to write cursive. How about that? I think that is huge, and that is happening at Cambridge Academy this summer. And the other thing I wanted to mention real quick, I'm sure there's something else. I love this story, and for B-24 enthusiast and warbird community has been announced that the B-24J currently displayed at the Barksdale Global Power Museum, at the Barksdale Air Force Base in Boozer City, Louisiana, will be moving to the National Museum. Let's see if I can finish the show. Will be moving to the National Museum of the Mighty 8th Air Force in Pooler, Georgia. Only 14 twin-tail, four-engine B-24 Liberators survive of the 18,482 that were built during World War II. Plans for this rare Ford-built B-24J serial number to be restored, and it will form the centerpiece of the National Museum of the Mighty 8th Air Force forthcoming expansion titled Maximum Effort. So they anticipate that the new wing of this museum will be completed in 2026, and the B-24 move and restoration will follow in due course. That is huge. That is huge. And that'll be so nice to have it back here on the East Coast. I don't know what's happening to my voice here at this moment, but I guess I have talked too much. I guess that's what it's saying. There are more things I would love to talk about, but let's see. Do we have any other comments from people on any issue? I think the biggest ones we had comments on this morning were the story that we did about the guy that killed two legislators killed one legislator and her husband, and then injured a man and his wife in Minnesota. And they say they're going to put the full force on this case, that we need to, number one, keep this in the news. Number two, is hanging an appropriate way to do this? And number two, should we have public viewings of people being killed? Somehow, to me, that seems a little barbaric. And I don't really know whether that would really, really give somebody the impetus to say, I'm not going to do that. To me, it all starts way early. And we just haven't seen the cohesiveness of our society that we used to. I hate that word, used to have. I think that one of the things, although people will not believe this, I'm sure, those particularly who participated in the No Kings rally will not see this, but having a cohesive country is important. We can, of course, protest and not like things like legislators voting themselves a raise, right? Yes, okay. We can certainly protest. We can certainly talk about it. But when you talk about the moral fiber of a country, our country seems to have lost our way on our moral fiber. We need our churches to step up more. We need our communities to be healthy. And we need to have quick justice. Sometimes the length of time between the event that happened and when justice is actually applied is so far between the times that people don't even remember what the original case was. I also think having 10,000 cases on our local solicitor's office is just way too many cases. I don't even see how you could even get caught up ever. But I think that if justice was moving more quicker, if it was not such a long drawn out time frame, it would make a huge difference in what people believed that their fate might be if they were involved in something that was wrong. But first off, we have to have people that know it. Number two, we have to have better mental health for all. And this is Brain Health and Alzheimer's Month. And I just think we don't realize how we do not put we don't have the facilities. We don't care for those that have issues. We medicate and then move on. That really is part of the problem too. Hey, I'm Ann Eller. This is WCRS Radio. I hope you have a fabulous day. I hope you'll tune in with me tomorrow morning for more coffee talk and things that just jack my jaws. But then again, things that make me proud to be an American and be from Greenwood, South Carolina. Y'all have a fabulous day. That's going to do it for us. Penny says it's about time. I want my dinner. All right, we're going to get your dinner, Penny. That'll do it for me. Have a great day. Bye-bye, everybody. This is WCRS Radio.
Keep on sharing.
The phones are open.
Keep on laughing.
Give us a call.
You gotta keep on caring. As long as you've got a voice, don't ever stop. As long as you've got truth, don't ever stop.
You're on the air.
As long as you've got love.
What's on your mind?